Okay. I think it is 7:30. Yes. All right, so we'll begin with our little chabura here. See what happens. 10th of Adar Sheini. Hayom Yom. Okay, people are coming in still. Tuning in, as they used to say. Tune in. Same time, same channel. 10th of Adar Sheini. Hayom Yom. Before embarking on a journey from your place of residence, arrange a Hasidic farbringen, and receive a parting blessing from your good friends. And as the familiar expression goes, Hasidim never say farewell, for they never depart from each other. Wherever they are one family. And of course, that's particularly true in Chabad, wherever you go. I guess wherever, the close thing is wherever you find members of your own group. But here he's talking about Hasidim in general. There's a commonality between us. It makes us one family. Okay, and as a result of that, we are able to and feel the difficulties of each other and bless them with healing. Go ahead.
Elka Rachel Basalisa, Baruch Benjamin ben Rachel Blima, Yehudis Golda Basalisa Hana, and Hava Daniela Bas Naomi Hana.
Refuah Shlema V'Kora. Okay. Lessons in Tanya, continuing where we left off yesterday, as we always do, of course. Page 478, bottom of page 4878, Lessons in Tanya. And here, Kuti Amorim, middle of page Mem Vov. Okay. Briefly, we've been created in order to reveal the light which comes from darkness. And this was a power that is a power that the Holy One, blessed be He, has given into us through His Torah. The Torah is, as the Kabbalists have told us, the Torah is the place where the light which shone in Gan Eden before the sin of the Yetzer Das, that light was, when it went out, so to speak, in the world, it was invested in the Torah. The Organuz, they call it the hidden light. Where was it hidden? It was hidden in the Torah. And therefore, the Torah has the power, the Oiz Lamo Yitain, right? A great strength Hashem has given to us, to His nation. And that's the strength of Torah. And we got that strength. We were infused with that strength at, where would you expect? At Matan Torah, when that Torah was given. And the hallmark of that infusion was that our souls flew out of our bodies. That's what we learned yesterday. The souls flew out of our bodies. We were given a vision of godliness unclothed, godliness unhindered, godliness not in a tzimtzum, contracted way, but open godliness. We were given that vision. And the Alter Rebbe told us yesterday that it's that vision, that experience, that sensory experience with our physical eyes, that will be the state of reality in the Osid Lava in the future. Now today, we're going to start. That experience has been embedded in our unconscious. This is what, and is a very interesting, as I was learning this, and it's dawned on me. How are we one family? Well, there are many ways in which we're one family, but one way in which we're one family is what we're about to learn in the Tanya. So let's learn it, and then we can comment on it. Okay. The Gam, now inside the Tanya. If you're looking inside, it's around this, there's a little fine print where there's a note, and the line begins. Megam kavar hoya la'olam. This experience of undressed, meaning unencumbered, unhidden, unsimsummed godliness, kavar hoya la'olam was already in the world. Ma'enze, which is something like the revelation that will be in the future. And when was that? B'shas Matan Torah, at the time of the giving of the Torah. The Kasiv is written, Ato hore soladas. You have given us knowledge to see. Ardas, which we normally say, and is the true, Ardas is an integration of our Chokhmah and Bina into our heart. But there, we saw it with our eyes, with our physical eyes. And as we say in Pittsburgh, seeing is believing. We saw it. We saw it. And what did we see? We saw that Havaya Huwa Elakim. Now, the simplest, and most common way of understanding this in terms of Chassidus, we saw with our own eyes that Elokim, which is the midah of Gevurah and Simsum, is really delivering Havaya, which is unencumbered, unsimsudic reality of God. So I'm not going to use the word essence here because these are effusions, these are rays of God. This is not essence. But in the Torah itself is embedded God's essence, and we've learned this, and I've said this many times, from the very first word of the Aseres Adibros, Anoichi, which is Rashi Tevis for I have given my very self over in the Torah. So at Matan Torah, we had an infusion of essence of God, and an infusion that wasn't only embedded, it is embedded, and still is embedded, but we saw it with our eyes. So I started to say, as I was reading this, learning this morning, this is a very, I think, powerful way of understanding how it is that Hasidim are one family. We have what Carl Jung called a collective unconsciousness. Deep inside of us, we all have a root of what we'll call spiritual DNA, an inheritance that makes us one family. What makes a family? That we're all blood of blood, right? We're inherited one from another. And what makes us a family, a Jewish family, is that we have inherited from the time of Matan Torah a collective, I'm using Jung's expression, collective unconsciousness embedded in which is the vision, the actual seeing of godliness invested in the world. We saw back in the text, Ki Havaya Hu Elokim, that Hashem is Elokim, that in Elokim, in the Simsum, is Hashem, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the ineffable, unfathomable presence of God in physical reality. So we saw Ki Havaya Hu Elokim, Ein Oid. We knew without any doubt, because it was blasted into us and became part of our very visceral and spiritual being, that Ein Oid Milvad Oid. This is the words in the time, that there is nothing else besides him. Eros Mamish. And the language is, we saw this. We absolutely saw this with our eyes. Bria Hushius, with our physical senses. To the Kasiv is written, Kol Ha'am Royim Esakoilis. We saw the voices. We didn't just hear them, we saw them. V'royim es hanishma. We saw that which was heard. Heard is, of course, a secondary experience to seeing. Hearing is associated with bina, which is understanding, but chokhmah is associated with riyah, seeing. And as I said earlier, seeing is believing. We didn't have to fathom it. We didn't have to grok it. We didn't have to learn it. It was there in front of our face. We saw what was normally only heard. What Pirush Rizal, our sages have said, is the way to understand this in a simpler way, but express it, but it's also a metaphor. Mistachlin l'mizrach, we looked out to, there's the east over here, we looked out to the east side, b'shoiminas adibur, and we heard, we're looking, in other words, we're looking here, and we hear what's coming through our eyes. What the Yaitse Anochi, the word, the very first word of the Aseret Adibros, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. V'chein la'abaruchas, and similar to all four directions. Ulamayla umat, right? The six kavim, the six directions, north, south, east, and west, and up and down. No matter where you turn, you saw Elokus. The Pirish B'Tikunim, as is explained in the section of the Zohar called the Tikunim, which, what does the Zohar say? There was no place, no direction that wasn't speaking of it. Wherever you saw, you heard. Wherever you looked, you heard. There was no place that wasn't speaking of it. Imohem, with them. V'hainu, because of the revelation of God's will, and that's why I said before, it's not essence, it's will, but will is very deep in God's consciousness, right? A deep expression of, from as it moves from unconscious to conscious. There was an expression of God's will. We saw his will. We do his will today. And the reason that it's natural for a Jew to do his will today is because of this collective unconscious, that it's embedded within us from the time of Matan Torah. It's part of who we are. All we have to do, this we've covered a bit in the earlier part of Tanya, all we have to do, I'm saying it with a smile because it's not so easy to do, is remember. Zecher Chasta. If it's there in our unconsciousness, we have to remember. We just bring it up from the source of where it is, which is there for us to tap. Remember it. It's not learn it from scratch, right? It's remember who you are. Remember what happened. Remember the collective experience that you had and we all had at Har Sinai. And what was that experience? It was an experience back inside of the Gilui Ratzon Yisborach, of God's supernal will, in the 10 utterances, which those 10 utterances, shehein klalos haTorah, they're the whole generality of the Torah, shehi panimis ratzonai, which the Torah is the innermost dimension of God's blessed will, the Hachmasai, and his wisdom, the Ein Shom, and over there, in his blessed will and wisdom, at that level of God consciousness, God's consciousness, Ein Shem Hesteponim Klal. There's no concealment whatsoever. And we have that experience embedded in our soul. As I said, I think that's, actually I'm just saying this, but I think it's a fair thing to say. That's a fairly decent insight into what makes us one family, which we learned in Hayom Yom. Meshikosev is written, It's written a pasuk. It says, in the light of your face, and again, face means panemius, in the light of your innermost self, you have, and from your innermost self, you have given us Torah Chaim, a living Torah, a Torah which is alive, and a Torah which is the source of our life, our godly life. Therefore, and because the revelation there was so great, and we had just received it and not worked with it, as is explained in many more in the difference between Matan Torah and Purim. Purim, we kibel haYehudim. At Purim, we took it into ourselves. Here, we just had this amazing experience that was embedded in us in a sort of in a flash, but we hadn't done anything yet. So it's there. We hadn't worked with it yet. And as a result of which, we couldn't maintain that position of being in a normative world which conceals godliness, and at the same time seeing it both ways. The physical, yes, one way, and the godly in it the other way, and seeing those two things together. We hadn't yet grown, matured enough, whatever the word you want to use, to live with that paradox as a part of our daily life. So therefore, top of page 92, our souls flew out. We became bottle. The sun was too bright, and it became bottle, and we fell down, and Hashem had to rejuvenate us and blow life back into us. We became, top of page 92, batal b'mesias mamish. Our physicality was nullified, mamish. The Maimon Rizal, as our sages say, shall call dibar pacha nishmasana. Each and every speech, each and every utterance of the Esera Maimonis, our souls flew out of our body. Ella, and here's what I said, Shehachazira HaKadosh Baruch Hu lehen, Hashem returned the souls to the bodies, vital, with the dew. The dew comes down from above, unlike the rain which evaporates upward and seeds the clouds. Tal descends from above to below. And this dew, with which Hashem restored us back to life at Matan Torah, this is the dew, which in the future the dead will be enlivened with this dew, because this at Matan Torah, we see this dew had this property to take a corpse and bring it back to life, and it will do the same in the future. This is the dew which in the future will enliven the dead. And this is called the dew of Torah, shenikra oiz, which is called strength. Kamman Rizal, as the sages have said, in Gemara Kesubos, kol ha'oisek b'Torah, anyone who occupies himself in Torah, and that's us right here and now, Hal Torah michayehu, where we're getting our life from at this moment, what refreshes us, what excites us, what interests us in coming here or wherever you're learning Torah, is because there is an infusion of the dew of the Torah, mechayehu, which enlivens us. And that's today's Tanya. Okay, comments, questions, observation.
Beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Isn't it? It's unbelievable. Yeah. Just to know, the power of memory. This is a huge thing. I mean, I think you get it, right? That, and in this day and age that we're living in, we're having a very big, I don't know if a revolution is the right word, but it's certainly something novel. That people are, at least all around me here in Crown Heights, and I see it in the world at large, in some pockets, are driven to find the core, getting down to the core, typically it comes from modalities which are dealing with psychic illness, like trauma, big deal today, right? Trauma, and how do you break through that? The trauma itself becomes something that one needs to explore, and my hands are going deep. We're going down deeper into ourselves and pushing away the blockages till we get to the core through various modalities of psychotherapy, some of which are new today, some of which have been around for a long time, including Jungian psychology. You don't find too many practitioners. Freud sort of eclipsed him for a while, but his concepts are coming back like really, really strong. The whole notion of archetypes, that embedded with us is an archetype. What's the archetype? The archetype, many of them, Avram and Sarah, right? We learn that we have to bring forth, in this. Oh, by the way, I did an interesting factoid. When Carl Jung was 80 years old, he was interviewed. And in the interview, he said that all of his psychology was anticipated by the Mesricher Magid. He was and became quite, though he was a non-Jew, became quite steeped in the Torah and the Mesricher Magid, and he had disciples. One of them, which his last name is Newman, I don't remember his first name, who published a book. I think it's called Roots, in which he explores the mystical Jewish Hasidic roots of Jungian philosophy, of Jungian psychotherapy. Point being, there is an awakening to get awakened going on.
Isn't that Panemius? Isn't that part of Panemius? Going into the in the past we were just looking at people's behaviors. That was external.
Yep. This is Panemius. This is going into what he called the collective unconsciousness, what we would call the Pintaliya, the essence of who we are.
This is maybe B'or Panecha, that,
That's right.
that
That's why I always
the
translate
signs of
Panecha.
Mashiach.
That's why I always translate Panecha Panemius. Absolutely. This is one of the, you're right, putting it. This is one of the the signs of the days of Mashiach, that what's hidden will be revealed, and it's coming through our energy, our excitement, number one, and our dedication, number two, and the realization and understanding of that we have it all. We just have to open our eyes and see it. When I say we have it all, I'm referring in a narrow way to today's Tanya. There's a strength has been given to us. And when we look into Panemius Torah, you could translate that the same way. Panemius, the face, the unexposed, the unmasked. Right? Take off the mask, reveal what's hidden. The unmasked essence of God is encapsulated, particularly in Chassidus. A big blessing. Why do you think Chassidus? I'm not asking. I shouldn't ask it that way. The reason Chassidus, if you can ascribe reason to how Hashem unrolls time, put it this way: we are very fortunate to be living in an age in which the secrets, the Soidus HaTorah, are there for the taking in English, in every language, on the internet. And what do we need to take it for? In order to discover, remember, that's the operative word today, remember, Zecher Chassid, remember who we really are, and touch that who we really are. And that is, in other words, the personal geula.
When the Panim will match the Panim, because the Panim is the face of it, is really
Good.
external, interestingly.
That's good. That's very good. And the inner will match the outer. Right. What you got at Mount Sinai is what you'll see. I'm kind of reversing it. People say what you see is what you get. So you could reverse it. What you got at Mount Torah is what you will see in each of any one of us and in the world at large. That's called geula, in my book anyway. Raisa, your hand's up.
Good morning. I think that his name is Guy Hachman.
Who?
This is a personality in Israel who is not religious, and he has taken upon himself to keep Shabbos this week, and he wants 100,000 Jews to join him.
Right.
And he's using his prominence. He's a comedian. He's using his prominence to spread the word.
Okay, I'm not quite getting it connected. So
100,000.
Yeah,
that's what he's doing. He's brought 100,000 people to keep Shabbos. Is that what you're saying?
He's aiming for that. He's aiming for
He's aiming for
100,000
that.
to commit to keep Shabbos.
And you're saying,
And
I think I see what
he's
you're
seeing
saying.
it as an act of unity.
Right, but what I hear in your, maybe you're not, I think you're intending this, that though he's not religious, he's expressing panemius,
Yes.
an innerness, right, which is essential to him and way beyond the externality of whether he's keeping mitzvahs or not, and he's encouraging and inspiring other people to bring forth their panemius. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like, I think it's like an actual practical awakening.
Yeah, got it. Good. Shkaya. Anybody else? Well, these are good nuggets, beautiful nuggets. Thank you very much. And let's take these nuggets out into our daily life today and let everybody share. Tomorrow, Mr. Hashem, once again, we'll be back. Same time, same station.
Thank you.